Hey there, how you doing? Well, my team and myself, we were in the business review that we do every week, and something that stood out very clearly while discussing challenges faced while implementing the improvements was lack of leadership or improper leadership. So I decided to make this video. Now, I must say that this video is not about how to become a great leader. There are several books and videos, of course, to help you do that. Besides, I am myself a leader, a work in progress, so I don't want to be somebody claiming to know it all and on how to become a great leader. So this video is going to be about things that you must have. Those are non-negotiables to lead a team. So while we go ahead with the pointers in here, let me first start by describing what is leader. Well, leader is somebody who leads. That's what the word means. And here we are talking about leading a group of people, human beings. Now, we human beings have emotions and logic. So we use the logic to rationalize, question things, and we use emotions to figure out where we reached, how do we feel about that. And based on these emotions and the logic, we decide whether we want to do something or not do something. Now, as a leader, it's very important for you to understand this aspect of how we as people, humans, work. Because when you are leading a team, you are technically given a job to get somebody do something. Now, that something is not going to happen if that somebody feels very bad or doesn't feel right about doing those things and is not able to rationally justify to himself that I must do this because this is my manager who's told me that. Now, it's extremely important for a leader to therefore gain trust. Anybody who you trust, you follow. So your people are going to trust you, and when you trust somebody, you are in that emotion of, okay, let's do it, I trust this guy, and your people are going to follow your orders. So how do you go about getting that trust? Where here are the 5 things that you must have to gain trust of the people that you're leading, because that's the only way you will be able to be a successful leader. Point number 1 is called integrity. Every leader must have this. Now, here integrity is a very big word, so let me explain you this. Integrity means that when you look at that person, you feel he is up for doing the right things. He is going to be fair, and if he says or promises something, he's going to stick by it. He's going to walk the talk. If that does not happen, then you don't see that person as a dependable person, and therefore you are not going to trust that person. Now, how do you practice integrity in your workplace? Well, rule number 1 is you must do what you say, and you must say only things that you can do. A lot of times we see leaders promising something that's not in their hands. So I saw a manager promising his subordinate promotions and made him do a certain thing. And then when promotions came, the subordinate wasn't promoted. And then the subordinate came to this manager and asked, okay, you asked me to do 3 things. I did those 3 things. You appreciated, and now I'm not promoted. Why is that? Now, this manager that time replied, well, it's not in my hands, it's in the hands of the senior management. Now, this is going to lose trust. So you are supposed to, probably the manager would have told his subordinate that, hey, you know what, if you do A, B, and C, chances are you will be the most eligible candidate for promotions when the management decides to do so. Now, by promising what you are saying and by assisting there and taking actions, you are building trust in the minds of the people. So whenever you say something, make sure you are the person who's able to do it, and then after saying, please do it. Point number 2 is called competence. Now, this is an uncompromisable point. When you are a manager, you got to be competent to do the task that the department that you are a manager of is supposed to do. You absolutely have to know the ins and outs. When people get stuck, they want to fall back to somebody. And if your manager is not competent enough, then they look out for people who is competent enough to fall back onto them. And if I know that I'm going to be asking this person for help when I'm in need, I automatically start following that person. And if that person is not the manager, is not you, then chances are somebody is being a leader in your company without designation. And that leader is still able to drive things that you may possibly not want to drive or not be able to drive. Now, how do you go about practicing competence? Well, you cannot fake competence. So the first rule of thumb that you got to follow is be a lifelong learner. Whenever you get into your organization, you got to ask yourself, what is it that I'm not too good at, or what is it that I don't know, and start learning about it. The second thing that you got to do is to display competence, share the best practices with your people. Now, when you have your weekly meetings or your monthly meetings, tell your people what you learned and how that can be implemented according to you, and then learn again by asking question, what do they think about it? Are there things that they learned? The third thing is being on top of things that are happening and therefore building your foresightedness. I have been a part of a corporate where the leadership told something on day one and on day two completely changed, and the reason that was given was that day that was the right thing to do, and today this is the right thing to do. I absolutely lost confidence in that kind of leadership. I thought they were incompetent to figure out what's coming next, and that is exactly what you shouldn't do. Such a thing happens when you're not competent about what you are actually trying to do, or do not have the foresight which is built on the trends and pattern recognition. That again comes from technical know-how, competence, understanding what is happening, why it's happening, and when can it happen again. That is something that you got to build, and this is not something that you can do overnight. So make sure your competency muscle is trained every single day. Point number 3 is called consistency. As managers, we always announce actions that need to be taken. We announce priorities, that okay, this is what needs to be done because XYZ, and that is what needs to be done later. We also give feedback. We tell people you are a hero, and we tell people, hey, you know what, you need to work on XYZ. Consistency means a person who is able to stick to what he's told. So a person who changes his mind every second day is not somebody that people would trust. He's not dependable. So if you say the priority is sales today and production tomorrow, and the next day you say, hey, the priority is production and not sales. If you tell somebody you are a hero today, and the next day or the next month you end up saying, hey, you know what, I don't think I can have you in my company because your performance is very poor, is not consistent. So how do you go about demonstrating consistency, and how do you go about practicing consistency? Well, the first thing is follow your own rules. If you have said that the meeting is going to be on Thursday at 3 p.m., then on Thursday 3 p.m. you should be there consistently. You cannot say, hey, you know what, this time 3 p.m., the next time 4 p.m., and the next time 3. Can't happen that way, because you're showing that you're changing your mind. Sometimes you may announce, hey, this meeting is the most important meeting, and then you bunk that meeting yourself, or you, the next meeting that you say, okay, let's finish the meeting in a jiffy. Do not do that. Stick to the rules that you have made. The second thing that I would want all leaders to really practice, I don't know how people miss this, is thinking before you speak. If you don't think before you speak, then you think after you speak, and it can be too late. So it's like when you get a new person on, or when a person is asking you for feedback, you got to think before you give feedback to that person. You don't want to make a mistake of letting him know, hey, you are great, simply because you're unprepared with what are his improvement areas. So you got to think, you got to do your homework, and then talk to people specifically when you are giving feedback. So think before you speak. Point number 4 is called loyalty. Now, this is something that people absolutely love. People love being around people who are loyal. What do I mean by that? This is a person who is loyal to the company, who is loyal to its team, which means this is a person or a leader who's not hesitant to take tough decisions, but stick by his loyalty. If it means that, hey, you know what, the team has a goal, and that goal requires maybe 12 hours of working on a given day, he is so loyal to his team's success that he is going to stay up for 12 hours, even if he is not somebody who's supposed to do that task. He will stay up with his team for 12 hours and make sure that the team gets through. If it is a company that you are loyal to, then the guy will do anything for preserving the benefit of the company. Now, when you do such things, people see. When you don't do such things and you say, hey, you know what have I got to do? I have a leave to take. I'm going to go, so I don't care. Such things are also seen by your subordinates. And guess what? When subordinates see you doing certain thing, or see you not doing certain thing, they copy. Because you are the manager, you are teaching them what the next level should be. And when they copy, they are going to be a disloyal team too. And guess what? They are going to be disloyal with you also. So what are some of the things that you must do? Well, the first thing that you must do is you must create growth plans for each of your team member. Look, as entrepreneur, if you're a leader and you're an entrepreneur, your goal is to have an enterprise that works for you. I agree. But for an employee, his aim for working with you or working with anybody is to get consistent and safe growth in his life. Now, as a leader, you are supposed to make sure that that safe, consistent growth comes in. And therefore, it's very important for you to chart out his growth plan. What's going to happen to his life 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. Make sure it is practical. Make sure you don't overpromise, and make sure it is something that this person is able to do, and then walk with him to that growth path. Doing something like this tells the person that you are loyal to his growth, you're interested in his growth, and the people will start following you and will see and will look up to you as a leader. The second most important thing that I practice absolutely very, very strongly is standing by your team when mistakes happen. See, look, when you work, mistakes are going to happen. When mistakes don't happen is when you may want to doubt that is work even happening. So if there is work happening, mistakes are going to happen. And it's extremely important that when mistakes happen, you stand by your team. That doesn't mean you accept mistakes. You stand by your team and correct that mistake. You don't start bombarding and blaming people. When you do that, people feel supported. People feel you're loyal to the outcome. You are loyal to his team. You are the true leader of the team. And then people become loyal to you. People will do anything for you because you did things for them. And that is how loyalty can be practiced and displayed. Point number 5, and this is the most easiest way for anybody to like you. And this is something that I learned when I started networking and started meeting people. So point number 5 is called openness. Look, whenever you go and meet somebody, everybody has a story to say, but nobody has a listening ear or the patience to listen to somebody else's story without when you don't necessarily have any benefit out of it. But if you are somebody who's a good listener and you're open to suggestions, discussions, and ideas which may not be aligning completely to yours, if you're open to that, people are going to love you. You may have a different point of view, but that's all right. It's not always important to put your point of view across. Sometimes it's just important to hear somebody out because that kind of comforts that person. So if your openness is displayed and people see you as somebody who is a good listener, then they are going to start trusting you. They're going to open up to you. Of course, when you listen, don't use it against them. Now, what is listening? Well, listening means hearing, which is obviously the language that the person is speaking. Second is understanding, which is okay, this is what the person is saying. Acknowledging, letting that person know that you heard. You tell him that, okay, this is what you mean, this is how you feel. And then taking actions. Okay, what can we do about it? Be a part of that discussion. If this is what you do, people are going to take you as a person who's very open to ideas, very open to suggestions, very open to listening. And that's how people are going to trust you as a leader and follow what your instructions are going to be. So with all of these points, I'm sure it has added value, at least a couple of points to your way of doing leadership. I would suggest you make an action plan for your own self and then practice aspects of these 5 points. If you like this video, put a big fat thumbs up. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. I'm open to. So let me know what you want to know about and I will be very happy to make videos on that. Until we meet next time, all you fine people, keep propelling.